7 o'clock on Tuesday, November 15, 2022. This meeting of the Hingham Select Board is called to order. I note for the record, this meeting is being offered remotely as an alternate means of public access pursuant to Chapter 107 of the Acts of 2022 and all other applicable laws temporarily amending certain provisions of the open meeting law. You are hereby advised that this meeting and all communications during this meeting may be recorded by the town of Hingham in accordance with the open meeting law. If any participant wishes to record this meeting, please notify the chair at the start of the meeting in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20F, so that the chair may inform all other participants of said recording. Please notify the chair at this time. Seeing none, I want to note for the record that participating in tonight's meeting are myself, William Ramsey Chair, Board Member Joe Fisher, and Board Member Liz Klein. I also want to note that on tonight's agenda, we will be discussing an issue of veteran suicide. So I just want to note, I know that topic is a sensitive one, so I did want to note that ahead of tonight's meeting. Next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. So if everybody could stand and face the flag of our nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes.
I'm prepared to proceed.
Liz, you ready to go?
Yes.
All right, we do have a couple sets of minutes that we're going to go over tonight. With that, I take a motion. Joe?
I'll move to approve the minutes dated October 25th, 2022.
Second.
All those in favor by roll call. Joe?
Aye.
Liz?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. The motion carries unanimously. I take a second motion.
Make a motion to approve the minutes dated October 30th, 2022.
Second.
All those in favor by roll call. Liz?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. The motion carries unanimously. I take a third motion.
I move to approve the minutes dated October 31st, 2022.
Second.
All those in favor by roll call. Joe?
Aye.
Liz?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. The motion carries unanimously. The next item on the agenda is just to discuss the recent results of the Foster Elementary School and Public Safety projects. As I'm sure everybody is aware, last Tuesday culminated with the election and the vote on both projects. We had a town meeting vote 3 weeks ago, and last Tuesday's vote was a ballot vote for the Foster Elementary School project and the public safety projects. And I just wanted to extend my sincere appreciation to the residents for supporting both of these projects. It was a tremendous, tremendous result for our community. We, as a community, came together for both of these projects, and we showed that we can simultaneously support our school department and our first responders. And I'll tell you, as someone who grew up in this town and went through the school system and has children at that elementary school, and I graduated from that elementary school, and as someone who is the brother of a Hingham police officer, I just couldn't be more proud of this town. So I'm so grateful of the results of this these projects, and I'm just so appreciative of what everybody did to make this happen. So, Liz, do you want to add anything?
Sure. Thank you, Bill. I just also want to thank all of the volunteers and countless hours that went into all of the work before town meeting, and certainly to all of the residents that showed up. It was a really awesome feeling to see the community show up for each other, and certainly our students and schools, as well as our first responders and public safety. So thank you with much gratitude. Happy to see these projects moving forward.
Joe?
Great. So I just want to say that in many ways, this was easy because these projects are so needed. And the residents recognize it. This was not a case where we're, do we do it or not? We had to do it for both projects, and I'm glad we're moving forward. Thank you.
Great. Next item on the agenda is to consider approval of the issuance of a special one-day wine and malt beverages license to Mahi Gold Incorporated for Holly Jolly Hingham Christmas in the Square to be held on Friday, December 2nd, 2022, with a rain date of Saturday, December 3rd, 2022, at Mahi Gold Outfitters, 51 South Street, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. And I think we have Brian Vocal with us tonight, going to present.
I don't think he's joined us yet
Oh.
this evening.
All right. You don't see him up there at all?
No.
All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this item then, and we will move to the next item, which is to consider the approval of the issuance of a special one-day wine and malt beverages license to Congregation Sharei Shalom for the rabbi installation on Saturday, December 3rd, 2022, from 7 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. And presenting this evening is our very own Joe Fisher, the guy that does it all. So before we do that, Joe, do you want to note anything for the board?
Yes, I will note that I am recusing myself from this particular item on our agenda. I am not an official officer of the synagogue. The person who was to present this evening, Jay Tolman, his father just passed, and so he is not able to be with us this evening. The event, though, that is planned is a celebratory event in honor of the synagogue's new rabbi, Rabbi Burke. The particular event is going to be on Saturday, December 3rd. The event starts at 7:30, although I do note that the license, the prep work, we have it as a 7 p.m. Start time. And that is going to be really an evening of music at the synagogue. There's going to be, in addition to our cantor, there will be 2 additional cantors, and there will be a pianist, Dr. Jeffrey Hicks, who is from the First Baptist Church here in Hingham. So it'll be a wonderful event. We are estimating approximately 120 attendees. We have adequate parking, over 200 parking spots, and this has been reviewed by the police, and I will accept any questions.
Well, it was a wonderful presentation, Joe.
Thank you.
I
Now,
mean,
I
you're
know-
just a,
I do-
you're just
I
a
will-
real Renaissance man. You can do
I
it
will
all.
note
I
for
tell
the
you.
record
Just-
that
yeah.
the chair, Mr. Ramsey and Ms. Klein, are primed to ask tough questions. This is their opportunity. Take it while you can.
Let me just check. Everything seems to be in order, Tom?
Yes, it is, yeah.
Okay, great. Any questions, Liz?
No questions. I see that the Chief Jones has signed off on it,
Yeah, great.
and the application's complete.
Let me see if any members of the public have any questions for Mr. Fisher. Does anybody on Zoom have any questions regarding this application? All right, seeing none, I take a motion.
Make a motion to approve the issuance of a special one-day wine and malt beverages license to Congregation Sharei Shalom for the rabbi installation on Saturday, December 3rd, 2022, from 7 p.m. to 10:30 p.m.
And I would second that motion. All those in favor by roll call, Liz?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. The motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
All right, Joe. Excellent. All right. Next item on the agenda is a joint session with the Board of Assessors for the FY '23 Senior Means Tested Property Tax Exemption, and we have Erin Walsh with us, who's going to present. So Erin, come on up. Yeah, no, right there. Great. Also joining with us is Chrissy Roberts from the Assessor's Office, and do we have, I know Josh isn't going to join us this evening, but do we have anybody else? Is it just you, Chrissy? Great, I'm trying to think.
I don't see Randy online.
I don't
Is
see Randy.
in the room?
He's not. All right, well,
Okay.
welcome. Good to have you, Chrissy. Thanks for joining us. All right, Erin, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you for having me here tonight, and I'm here to talk about the Senior Means Tested Property Tax Exemption. This is our second year offering this tax exemption. The goal of the new exemption is to provide targeted property relief to older homeowners to help them continue to be able to afford to live in Hingham. So the second slide shows the requirements for fiscal '23.
Yes. All right, I'm going to stop you real quick.
Okay.
Chrissy, I do note that Randy has joined us, so do you want to call your board to order?
Yes, thanks, Bill. I call the Board of Assessors meeting to order November 15th at 7:10 p.m. Thank you.
All right, and I'm assuming you're going to adopt the language I articulated earlier regarding the remote meeting?
Yes,
Excellent.
correct, thank you.
Great. Go ahead, Erin.
Okay, great. So the property owner must be 65 or older. If there's a co-owner, they must be 60 or older. You must be a Hingham resident for at least 10 years. The income must meet the 2021 state circuit breaker limits, which are listed here, which is up slightly from last year. The homeowner must not have excessive assets that place them outside of the intended recipients of this exemption. And most importantly, they must have applied for and received the Massachusetts State Circuit Breaker tax credit on their 2021 tax return. The homeowner's principal residence assessed value must not be above $884,000, which is set by the state. And actually, all of these requirements are set by the state with the exception of the residency requirement. So the required documents are listed here. The deadline for this exemption was September 1st of this year. We require a signed application, and this documentation, all of this information is kept in a secure location in our office. So as we began our second year offering this exemption, our team of staff, including our office, Michelle, the senior center, as well as dedicated residents and the board members, began brainstorming all avenues available to us with the goal of reaching every senior household who qualifies for this exemption. The following outreach efforts began in January as the tax filing season began and ended on the application filing deadline of September 1st of 2022. So as you can see, we used as many available resources as we could to try and get the word out to the seniors. One thing that I missed mentioning on this list is an outgoing recorded call to over 400 seniors in town by the senior center, which prompted a huge influx of calls. So the next slide shows how our efforts paid off. Last year, being the first year of offering this, we received 24 applications and awarded $21,201. This year, we received 96 applications, which was an increase of 300%. Of the total 96 applications, 86 were granted by the Board of Assessors. The total circuit breaker tax credit dollars awarded by the state to approved applicants is $89,474. We've made great strides in reaching more senior households this year, but as we look forward, it will always be our goal to increase that number year after year. So needless to say, we're very happy by the rise in response in the applications this year. As the response has grown this year, so has the reward for us personally to be able to help our senior residents alleviate the pressure of increasing taxes. The circuit breaker credit amount for tax year 2021 is a maximum of $1,170, which brings us here tonight, where the Select Board shall annually set the exemption amount, and the amount of the exemption shall be within the range of 50% to 100% of the amount of the circuit breaker tax credit. And then I think the following, the slides at the end, no, never mind. I thought the bill was there, but no.
Erin, thanks very much.
Sure.
Chrissy, let me go to you first. Would you like to add anything to Erin's presentation?
I mean, I would just like to reiterate, how thrilled we are that so many more people were able to take advantage of this. We are targeting our most vulnerable population for tax relief, and what did Erin say? 300% increase is amazing, and we hope to do the same thing next year. So the more people we can reach out to and help, the better. Thanks to Erin and Cyril and everyone in the office who did quite a bit of work on this. Obviously, it paid off. And yeah, that's about it. So just really happy with the outcome.
Thanks, Chrissy. Randy, do you want to add anything?
No, this is my first year going through this process, and I got some feedback, obviously, from what happened last year, but the applications that came through this year, we had a tremendous response, and I think we were all very happy. So I think the outreach was effective, and we'll continue to adjust as it makes sense, but we'll keep a lot of the similar efforts in place, and then try to do some additional outreach in the future. But I think we're very pleased with the increase that we've seen this year.
Thanks, Randy. Michelle, do you want to add anything regarding the credit amount or any concerns from you in terms of the financial piece?
Sure, no concerns. I think it's been our goal, as you guys know, to increase the number of folks who are able to participate in this process. And we've budgeted more than enough to offer 100% of the circuit breaker tax credit if that's what the board chooses to do.
Great. Okay, so I just want to start off by saying the increase in participants in the program is wonderful. So thank you so much. You know, that, I think when you came in last year, I think all three of us said, anything that the board can do in terms of the outreach campaign to increase participants, we'd love to see that. And the fact that you've increased it by, 300%, as you said, I mean, is amazing. So thank you so much. I know that, you know, Aaron, you, Chrissy, Randy have done so much. Josh, who's not here, has done a ton of work as well. I know that you've, you know, been over the senior center, working with Jennifer, getting the word out, creating awareness. And I mean, this is great to see it. I'd love to see you increase this another 300% if we can. So, great job there. You know, this is wonderful to see going forward. So whatever you can continue to do to continue to create awareness that we can help you with, we stand ready to do so. So thank you very much. Great job. So let me turn it to Joe.
Again, thank you for all your efforts. I do have two questions. The first concerns confidentiality. I know you said that the files are kept in a locked room, but can you go in a little bit more as to the confidentiality associated with the application process so that as residents may want to apply next year, they feel confident that their information will be kept confidential?
Yeah, I can probably speak to that. So we do keep all of our applications and all of the exemptions, including this, absolutely confidential. We keep them in a lockbox in our office. We are allowed to keep them for 1 year until an audit is done on them, and then we're able to shred them after that point. So that's where we are.
What about in terms of who you speak to, how the communications go, so that it's not general knowledge?
So we don't disclose any information to the public regarding who is applying. We don't keep a list of anything that's shown to the public, so it's all confidential in terms of in the office, who's applying, and none of that is shared.
Tom, do you know, are these records protected from the any public record requests?
You know, I don't know. I can certainly find out.
I believe they are,
Okay,
yes.
great. And second, how firm is the deadline? Is there any leeway for the board to accept late applications?
Yes.
And so even if people miss the deadline, they say, oh my God, I forgot about it, they should still apply and you'll do what you can?
As long as the application is received by September 1st, if they don't have all of their documentation, we will let them supply the documentation after that.
Okay.
Sometimes it just takes them a little bit of time to get everything they need. So we do have a firm deadline for the application itself, but we do grant them some time to gather their information.
So that if someone has incomplete information at the time of the deadline, they should at least file a placeholder
Yes,
claim so that you can then proceed.
yes,
Great.
absolutely.
Thank you. No other questions?
Liz?
Great, thank you. I know we talked about the outreach quite a bit, and I know you saw a need, and I think very quickly put together a group to work on it, and it obviously was very effective, so thank you to all that worked on that. Can you remind us what the maximum credit amount for last year was for 2020? Has that amount changed, the 1170?
Yes, I believe it was 1164.
Okay.
So it went up a little bit. I believe this year it's 1,200.
Okay, yes, I thought, okay, I remember seeing 1,200. Okay. And in terms of outreach going forward, is there more information, what is the next cycle in terms of, you know, people getting the the circuit breaker tax credit and making sure that they have that in line.
So our group, the group that we put together with Erin's department and Elder Services kind of taking the lead, is planning to do a second campaign this winter and early spring ahead of all the different, the deadline for the different exemptions in the spring. But part of that outreach will be ensuring that folks know to claim the circuit breaker tax credit on their state return as kind of the first step to be eligible for Hingham's senior means tested tax exemption. So that will kind of be the second half of our campaign that we embark on in the next few months.
Okay, excellent. Are there other resources that you feel you need that you didn't have as part of the initial outreach?
No, I think that working with all of the departments was really helpful. I think the senior center, I think those phone calls were fantastic and brought in a lot of people. A lot of them actually were from other towns. So a lot of people who join or go to our senior center from Hull or Weymouth, they called. And we
Interesting.
pushed them or told them about it and told them to tell their townspeople or
Okay.
their government about it.
We were
Excellent.
able to leverage, like Erin said, a lot of resources from the senior center this year. I think the flyer that Josh took the lead on putting together and getting out really helped. But then JGPR, our communications consultants, were also critical in terms of helping us develop these materials, put together the flyers and kind of this whole campaign, Facebook ads and things like that. So we'll work with that whole team again, and the communications piece was really a helpful supplement to this.
Great, excellent, thank you. No other questions?
All right, does anybody from the public have any questions about this agenda item? How about in Zoom? If anybody on Zoom, if you could just either wave your hand physically or virtually. Okay, seeing none, I would take a motion.
Well, before making a motion, I guess we should have a discussion about what the percentage
Okay,
we would be
yeah,
looking for.
let's do that.
And, I mean, given the dollar amounts here, I see no reason that we would not want to proceed with 100%. I can envision a circumstance where we may have, overwhelming participation, where we're going to have to look at a different percentage, but we're not there. So it would be my intention that we would be proceeding with 100% unless either of you have different views.
No, I agree with 100%. Yeah, I think, I agree with 100%, and I think you're right. If the number of applicants continues to increase, maybe we have to drop that down a little bit, but I think, as Michelle recommended, we can certainly afford the 100%, and I see no reason why we would not go with the 100%.
Agreed. Even at 100%, this is within the amount that we budgeted
That's right.
as a town. So, and we have committed to our taxpayers that we will do this to the fullest extent, especially in light of the debt exclusions that just got passed. So I absolutely support 100%.
Now I'm ready for a motion.
All right,
So I'd move to set the fiscal year '23 senior means tested tax exemption amount at 100% of the amount of the circuit breaker income tax credit in accordance with Section 3 of Chapter 381 of the Acts of 2020.
Second.
all those in favor by roll call. Joe?
Aye.
Liz?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well, the motion carries. Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Chrissy and Randy, great to see you guys, take care.
They probably need to.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you very
oh, yeah, I'm
much.
sorry,
I'll just, can I make a quick motion to adjourn?
sure, yeah.
Randy, second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, aye. Thank you guys very much, I appreciate it, and happy to see it passed, and we'll keep plugging away to get those numbers even higher next year. Thank you.
Great,
Thank you. Have a good night.
Joe?
Thank you.
All right, I see Mr. Vogel has joined us, so let me just go back to that item briefly. All right, I'm gonna go back to agenda item 5, which is to consider approval of the issuance of a special one-day wine and malt beverage license to Mahi Gold Incorporated for Holly Jolly Hingham Christmas in the Square to be held on Friday, December 2nd, 2022, with a rain date of Saturday, December 3rd, 2022, at Mahi Gold Outfitters, 51 South Street, from 5 PM to 8 PM. Mr. Vogel, good evening to you.
Good evening, I apologize for the delay.
That's all right. Why don't you tell me about your event?
We're a retail store right in the corner of Main and South. So last year was our first time doing Holly Jolly in the Square. Chatham stores and our other stores, we decided to host a local brewer, Untold Brewing, and serve some beer and wine to our guests as they shopped and enjoyed the festivities downtown. So just wanted to be an active participant, add to the atmosphere, and certainly invite people to sit and shop and buy.
And this is your second year doing this, or third?
This will be our second year. Our first year in town with our store was unfortunately right after COVID. So last year was a great event. We had a great turnout, great response. So we wanted to redo it.
Great. Tom, any issues?
No problems,
cited
the
by
chief
police
signed
department?
off.
Chief signed off, oh, great. Liz, any questions?
No questions. Reviewed the application. I see that Chief Jones signed off. And we're very familiar with Untold Brewing. And I know the event was successful last year, so no concerns.
Joe?
I also have no concerns.
Great. Any members of the public have any questions or comments regarding this application? Seeing none, I take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the issuance of a special one-day wine and malt beverages license to Mahi Gold Incorporated for Holly Jolly Hingham to be held on Friday, December 2nd, 2022, with a rain date of Saturday, December 3rd, 2022, at Mahi Gold Outfitters, 51 South Street, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Second.
All those in favor by roll call. Liz?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. The motion carries. All right, Mr. Volkel, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Have a
you.
good event.
Have a good night.
Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is going to be a Veterans Council update. See Coach Hoffman in the audience. I'm going to have you go to the podium if you don't mind. Actually, no, you can come up here. Why don't you come up here? Yeah, you come up here, Coach Hoffman. Yeah, you're on the council. Our newest member of the Veterans Council.
Thank you for the appointment. Proof, once again, they don't do background checks at Hingham. Tom Hoffman, 3 Sherman Way. I'm proud to be the newest member. Just attended my first meeting at 6 o'clock tonight, and thought it would be important to publicize, not only to everybody in attendance here, everybody that's watching, some of the things the Veterans Council has planned, and it's going to be a busy month of December. On December 2nd, it's a SNAP, South Shore SNAP Community Service Program, but we're going to be working with veterans as well as members of the Hingham High School Veterans Appreciation Club to fill 175 gift bags for veterans, needy veterans here in Hingham. Keith, well, we have Hull, Rockland, no, and Braintree. And then we'll take 120 of the bags up to the New England Center and Home for Veterans in Boston. Each of these bags are filled with probably $65 to $70 worth of personal care products, you know, hats, mittens, gloves, the whole shooting match. So it's a great event. The SNAP kids and their mentors have a lot of fun putting it together, and the veterans truly appreciate it. That's Friday the 2nd. On Saturday the 10th, and this is going to be the first time doing it.
Where's that going to be on the 2nd? It's going to be HMLP plant? Is that
Yes,
where
it's
you
going to
do
be at
that?
the old
Okay.
light plant.
Yeah, and what's the times on that, Tom?
We're going to, I know you've been there in the past with
Yeah.
your kids. We're going to get started at 3 o'clock so
3
that,
p.m.,
so
okay.
that the kids can spend the whole day in school and not break out early. Right?
I would never break my kids out.
There you go. A week after that, on Saturday the 10th, is the 123rd Army Navy game and being played in Philadelphia this year. And Mary Ann Blackmer said, geez, why don't we have a tailgate party? Of course, you guys smell smoke burning. That's me thinking. And so what we're doing is we're going to have an Army-Navy watch party for veterans at the Beth in the shipyard and in their function room. And we've got the Hingham High School Veterans Appreciation Club going to decorate the room. We've lined up some sponsors, so we make it, it's only a $15 charge for veterans to come and watch the game and root their favorite team on. And there'll be a food buffet and coffee, soda, and water, and then we'll have one drink ticket available. And if somebody wants to have more than one drink, that's on their own, but make it very cost effective. That'll be the 10th. Then the following Saturday, for the 3rd time here in Hingham, the Wreaths Across America program, which I just read online yesterday, I got a notification that they added 500 locations this year. Last year, there was 2.6 million wreaths laid on the graves of veterans around the country. This year, they're going to go well over 3 million. We started it here in Hingham 2 years ago by placing wreaths at the graves of veterans at High Street Cemetery. Last year, we did Fort Hill and we did St. Paul's. And this year, we're going to do the other three. We're going to do Old Ship, the Hingham Cemetery, then Hingham Center, as well as Liberty Plain. And for the record, Keith, correct me if I'm wrong, there are 3,600 veterans buried among the 6 cemeteries in town? Roughly. And so this is going to be, again, another SNAP community service event, but we're working hand in hand with the Veterans Council and veterans. We have the local chapter of the Daughters of American Revolution being involved, and then, of course, the Hingham Police Officers Union going to play a large role. So Carrie Nee, who you all know, who's on the school committee, she's also vice president of SNAP, and she's a techno whiz. All that stuff's above my pay grade. She's putting together, through the Wreaths for Across America website, a volunteer sign-up list so we have volunteers. Because we find people can do about 15 wreaths each, and we have 1,050 wreaths we're going to be laying this year. So that's what we're busy doing over the month of December. If I can take another minute and make a couple comments, I'm also co-chair of the 50 Flags program. And this year, we hit $28,000 again in terms of revenues on the 50 Flags program, so we matched the 2021 number. Of that, 5,600 went to high school programs for all the high school athletes that got involved in placing the flags and removing the flags, and it's great for those organizations. But we have a bunch of flags that don't have sticks anymore. So what we've done is we started the program, Keith, 5 years ago? We put them on 1x2s, and because of the rain last Saturday, we had to cancel it, but we were going to have 10 volunteers remove about 1,200 flags from the high school turf field. So the last time you were probably at the high school turf field, you noticed flags all around. In addition, there's a Soldiers for, our Students for Soldiers club at Notre Dame Academy, and they put up 200 flags around the circle in celebration in honor of Veterans Day. So we're really trying to get the high school kids involved. But one of the things that I learned the last couple of years in doing 50 flags is that a lot of these kids have no idea about flag etiquette. It's amazing the number of high school kids that when they're out doing the flags, they lay them on the ground. And so we've talked about at the Veterans Council for the first time tonight that we're going to work with veterans and try to work with the school department to figure out how we can K through 12 educate the kids on what's the proper way to handle a flag. It's really simple. Maybe we'll teach the high school kids the proper way how to fold a flag and present colors. Something that I think needs to be done. One other thing we learned, and hopefully it's over because of COVID, they've had to cancel for what, was it 2 years or 3 years, cancel the high school program where they come over to the GAR hall and learn about it. And so when I would tell the kids from the various teams, meet me at the GAR hall to pick up the flags, they go, what's the GAR hall? I go, do you know what the bagel shop, Atlantic Bagel is? Yeah. Okay. Make a left-hand turn out the door. It's about 2 blocks away. It's got the cannon out in front. So more and more kids are learning. But it blows my mind in this town how many adults don't even know what the GAR is. So I just think it's something on the Vets Council that we're going to look at doing. So it's all very important. So thank you for your support on everything. And all good.
Well, Hoffy, thanks so much for all you're doing.
Yep.
Not only, obviously, the Veterans Council work you're doing, but Hingham Youth Football and everything you do in town. Just really appreciate all the
Having fun doing it.
Yeah,
So,
you do
all
great
right.
work. So thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for all you do.
Okay.
See if you have any questions. Joe?
Are you going to have the Army and Navy vets in the same room? doing
Yes.
that?
Now, what we're going to do, great question.
Me and this guy, right?
Great question.
You already got him in?
I was in the Beta House at St. Lawrence from 71 to 75, and on Super Bowl Sunday, we had the pledges run a tape. The whole room got divided in half. The only thing that didn't have tape on it was the TV screen.
I just want to make sure.
And you had to
that
stay on your side. So I've told the high school Veterans Appreciation Club, get some old gold and navy blue tape and run it down one side, black and white on the other side for the Army. They're going to have banners up, and just stay on your side.
Okay, you've answered my question. You've
Okay.
anticipated the issue.
We
As I knew you would.
We planned ahead, so, all good.
Liz, any questions?
No questions. Thank you,
Okay,
though,
thank
Hoppy,
you.
for everything you're doing. Great events, and excited to see the education. I know we talked about the 50 Flag campaign last year, so, and I'd love to see residents visit the JAR Hall and see what an awesome space it is, beautiful museum.
People are blown away when they walk in
yeah.
there for the first time.
Right.
I've been driving by it all these years, I didn't know, so,
So, thank you.
okay, great.
Anybody have any questions for Hoffy regarding the Veterans Council and its upcoming activities? Not seeing anybody. Before I let Hoffy go, though, I did want to note, Hoffy is obviously very modest, but he did note one thing, and that is when I was when I got out of the military, Hoffy asked me to coach with him, and that's we were friends before that. But I coached his son Greg, who was a fourth grader at the time, and got to know Greg through the years. And when Greg applied to be in the military, Greg and I met and talked to him about the military a lot, his desire to go in the military. And Hoffy called me last week and told me that Greg got his Green Beret
Yep.
recently. So
Well,
congratulations.
thank you.
Congratulations to
We're flying down tomorrow.
Yeah.
The actual pinning ceremony, as they call it, will be on Thursday at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And what's really interesting to me, there are 7,000 active duty Green Berets, and we're now going to have 3 from Hingham, and there's a 4th guy who's already a captain in the Army from Hingham that's in the captain's course for Green Beret. So we might have 4, which is incredible. And just the great irony of everybody that knows me, my son has been assigned to Group 10, which covers Europe. He's going to have to learn Russian. He took 4 years of AP Chinese at BC High. He minored in German at Penn State, and now he's taking Russian. And I said, that's ironic, because they said, I have trouble with English as a first language. So he didn't get the gene from me. He got it from his mother.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hoffy.
All
Great
good.
seeing you.
All right,
Happy
thanks.
Thanksgiving. If I don't see you, happy Thanksgiving.
All right, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Our next item on the agenda is recognition of National Warrior Call Day, and we have our Veteran Service Officer, Senior Chief Retired, Keith Sherman is going to come up here. Keith, come on up.
Can you just give me 1 second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Come. Under. Down,
Keith, I'm still having trouble getting used to calling you Senior Chief Retired.
right?
You know,
Down.
it's just,
Well, thank you for having me tonight. We're gonna talk about that a little bit earlier or later in the program. If you don't mind, I'd like to start off with a 60-minute PSA that was developed by the Department of Veterans Affairs. Kind of set the tone.
We all make more than 35,000 decisions a day. Most are small, but some can be life-changing.
When it comes to taking care of yourself, the most important choices can be hard to make. Like having a tough conversation instead of ignoring a buddy's call.
Or being there for support, not assuming things will just get better.
Or finding new challenges rather than giving up.
And while we all face thousands of choices every day, there's one that can make all the difference. Today, make the decision to be there. For the veterans in your life, for your community, for yourself. Learn more at BeThereForVeterans.com.
Now, what we have up here is the veterans, this is the National Crisis Line, and this recently just changed over this summer. For those of you who are not aware, there's a new national number, similar to 911 when you have an emergency. If you have a crisis, you now simply dial 988. No reason not to do this. It's 24/7. I know it's, Joe mentioned this a few times and the last speaker was up here, totally confidential. Right, so nobody knows. As many media outlets you can use, which is the telephone. There's an online chat portion, or there's a text portion. Someone's gonna answer that phone, if we go to the next slide. This is how it works. Like I said, 24/7, a caring, qualified responder will listen, provide help. The call is free and confidential. You decide how much information you want to share. You're in charge of the chat. I think the biggest fear is if I get on there, the police are going to be knocking on my door next. That could be true if there's an imminent danger or imminent risk that you're going to harm yourself or somebody else. If you verbalize that, then it's their duty to help you, right, at that point. You're not thinking clearly, and we'll get into a little bit of that later on in the program. But the support doesn't end there. What it does is it flags your local VA and says there was a call placed in your community, in your VA area, from this person, this telephone number, and within 24 hours, an actual doctor, therapist, PA, someone calls you from the VA and invites you down. Hey, we understand you called the line. This is something that we can really help you with. So a real credentialed type person will reach out to you within 24 hours. You don't get that there's nowhere else you're gonna get that type of service. So I thought that was important to mention. It's new 988, so very important. So why we're here tonight is to talk about the National Call Day, but this is the fight that we're in right now. And to get a picture of the battle we're fighting, I wanted you to consider a few points here. It's a very short PowerPoint presentation that I had help with putting together today. Veterans have a 50% higher risk of suicide, which is more than 50% of the national average. 6,146 veteran suicides in 2020. And in the last 20 consecutive years, that number has remained around 6,000. This is an old figure. 125,000 veterans have died by suicide since 2001. We're going to update that further on. And suicide is the leading cause of death in veterans under the age of 45. One of the biggest causes, transitioning into civilian life. More than 40% of the veterans say they experience high levels of difficulty. They're 5 times more likely to experience suicidal ideation. When asked if their transition experience is more difficult, 48%, that's almost half, agree. When asked if their experience was stressful, over 3/4 answered in the affirmative. More than 80% of post-9/11 veterans say that the public does not understand the problems those who have served face in transitioning into civilian life. Next slide. Treating mental health and substance use conditions. Despite accounting for just about 8% of the population, veterans account for almost 13.5% of all suicides in the United States. According to the VA, 2019, the suicide rate amongst veterans is 1.5 times greater than a non-veteran population of the same age, with over, as I mentioned, over 6,000 dying each year over the last 20 years. There's no single cause of suicide among veterans and service members, but by treating and preventing mental health and substance use conditions, addressing access to lethal means, which is firearms, as you can see, it's almost 70% of the completed suicides, and empowering veterans and service members themselves to live and thrive in their communities, we can save lives. So traumatic brain injury, or what we call the military TBI, along with post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, has become the signature wound among veterans of this era, the post-9/11 era. Recent study found that the rate of suicide among veterans who had experienced a mild traumatic brain injury, also known as a concussion, was 3 times higher than the general population across the study period of almost 20 years. Those with moderate to severe brain injuries were 5 times more likely to die by suicide. The number of traumatic brain injuries in the post-9/11 wars is higher than anticipated for several reasons. Enemy tactics, explosives, remote, etc., improvised explosive device, battlefield medicine, though. An increase in battlefield medicine has helped troops who otherwise would have perished survive at a staggering rate of 95%. So they're coming home, but they're coming home with these traumatic brain injuries. As a result, as the head injuries grew, so did the epidemic. The rise of post-9/11 veterans dying by suicide. At the same time, the number of suicide among active duty, reserve, and Guard members, as well as veterans, began to rise. Mild TBI was the most common injury in Iraq and Afghanistan, but also can occur in scenarios that don't involve combat. So a quick figure to insert here is less than 10% of the people that ever join the military serve in combat, less than 10%. So even an explosive blast like a vehicle accident, a training injury, or even being in close proximity to a discharge of a big gun or artillery can cause a concussion. Multiple TBIs. So from 2005 to 2017, the suicide rate for veterans age 18 to 34 jumped by 76%. Even the mild injuries, you can see some sort of neurochemical changes and troublesome deficits. Researchers find that multiple TBIs can have an effect, that you lose your ability to monitor yourself and you lose your ability to understand consequences. So the biggest takeaway is this next slide. This is the thing that hits me the most. As a veteran of both the Persian Gulf War, so that's Operation Desert Storm, and of this current global war on terrorism where I served my entire time, an estimated 30,177 active duty and former U.S. troops have taken their own lives since 9/11. That's more than 3 times the number of personnel killed in any combat operation over the last 20 years. So we've lost more people to suicide than to the actual war itself. This past Sunday was National Warrior Call Day, as you mentioned, Mr. Chairman. There's a major push to curtail military and veteran suicides. All 7 living former VA secretaries called for Congress to have a National Warrior Call Day and draw public awareness to this crisis. They urged them and encouraged all veterans and the general public to reach out to a veteran either by phone or a meetup. So this is mission simple, imploring Americans, but especially active duty service members and veterans, to connect with someone who's worn or is currently wearing a uniform and let them know they care. Warrior Call can foster greater connectivity, compassion, and better outcomes. Support for our troops shouldn't end when they return home. Sometimes all you need is a call from a friend, a family member, or a battle buddy. The idea behind the Warrior Call is to reduce isolation, which of course is associated with suicide. Warrior Call can help slow the tragic suicide trends that are befalling veterans and active duty personnel at a rate far more deadly than that among civilians. If you do make that call, and this does become a public day of awareness, this is a VA tip, Operation SAVE, right? So military acronym. It'll help you act or care for compassion if you encounter a person who is suicidal. And I'd like to interject that it's not only veterans that suffer from this. As we have seen in our own community over the last several months, you don't have to be a veteran to suffer this tragedy. The acronym SAVE. So S, signs of suicidal thinking. A, ask the question. Most people are afraid to ask the question, hey, have you thought about harming yourself? Because they feel that question alone is going to push me over the edge. And it's the complete opposite. Validate the person's experience. So your best thing I can say about this is just be there to listen. And encourage treatment and expedite getting help. But once that person has confided in you, yes, I have, and yes, I'm thinking about it, you really can't leave that person after that. It's almost your as we would say, it's your duty at that point to have that person go and seek care. You know, go right with them, walk them to the facility, whatever that facility may be, whether it's a local social hospital, urgent care clinic, the police station, the fire station, anywhere where they can get it. But don't, after that conversation, that frank conversation is had, you should never leave that person alone. In conclusion, I'd like to show just one more PSA before we open it to any questions. And I would also like to make note that we have with us in the audience tonight a Gold Star mother, Mrs. Maureen Partika, whose son Matthew, a sergeant in the United States Marine Corps, active duty, tragically took his own life this July.
So how are things? Family good?
Yeah. Yeah, they're doing well.
Hey, we missed you at the game last week. Everything all right?
I just haven't felt like me lately.
You know I'm here for you, right? And there's support too.
That's a cut. Beautiful, fellas. Beautiful. Acting is one thing. Talking about suicide in real life is another.
In the military, you take challenges head on.
And now it's your turn to do the same for our veterans.
Be there for someone you care about.
Learn how you can start the conversation at BeThereForVeterans.com.
Excellent, thank you. So, let me begin by just saying, Maureen, thank you so much for coming this evening and being here with us this evening, so thank you for that. Keith, thanks for the presentation, the information, that was excellent. Again, want to thank you for all the work that you do for our veterans. I know that you are just proactively reaching out to people, and you're a tremendous resource for so many people and for so many different families, so thanks for all you do, for everybody. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Joe, do you have any questions?
Keith, do you have a sense of how the U.S. experience compares to other countries, whether or not, you know, more or less likely to have these sorts of concerns, if American veterans versus British, French, and any other country? Any sense of that?
Right, I don't know the actual figures, but I would say that the biggest figure that they showed, or if you recall from the bullet points, was the firearms. So access to firearms of men ages 18 to 45 is readily accessible, and that's the number one cause that the VA has collated. So in other countries, off the bat, more difficult
Yep.
to get a firearm. So I'm going to say right off the bat, it's lower. Less of them have served as well. There was more of a collation, right? It was a collision. It was not. We were heavy-handed in that those last 20 years. There was far less of others serving. I'm sure they have this same issue, same disease. But I'm going to say that right off the top of my head, because the access to firearms is lower, that it's going to be a lower rate.
Thanks. I mean, the experience here, you look at the numbers and you start shaking. So I really appreciate what you're doing and pushing us in the right direction. Thank you.
Liz?
Yes, thank you, Maureen, for being here and all that you're doing to help others in our community. And thank you, Keith, for all that you do every day. This is obviously a very difficult conversation, so I appreciate you bringing it to us. The numbers are staggering, and I know we've heard several times, 22 people a day.
Right.
One statistic that I think we're quite proud of is how many of our young people do join the military. So certainly it's our duty to protect them while they're there and when they come home, so thank you.
Do any members of the public have any questions for Keith? All right, seeing none.
So just before I go, I just wanted to kind of dovetail on what you just said. A new study was commissioned over a 5-year period. That's why some of that data was from 2017. Some of it was as fresh as last month. That report came out by the VA, and I can't remember how many millions of dollars they spent on it. I want to say it was upwards of $350 million. Over the last 5 years, they were able to say that the rate has come down from 22 to 17, and it was trending downward. That was last month. As early as this Saturday, the day after Veterans Day, a new piece came out that said that they had failed to take into, so someone studied it, they had failed to take into account the car accidents and overdoses, which are generally also overlooked. So firearms, yes, the leading cause. The secondary leading cause is overdose, and the third after that is traffic accidents, whether solo, bridge versus, car versus bridge, et cetera. Those are simply written down as car accidents and overdoses, not tabulated in that report. So that report now says it's 44.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so totally different number when you add that in, but we don't have that intent, we don't know. It's assumed, hey, how was that person before this? A lot of moving pieces in that, which is why they use the 22 as a middle ground figure.
Okay.
But there are great organizations out there, Mission 22, in Hingham. I know Bill was privy to us flying for the first time at our POW MIA Memorial down by Whitney Wharf. Our SAR flag, so that's our Suicide Awareness and Remembrance flag. There's a push also in Congress right now to make that flag, and I believe Heidi has a package for you to take with you and digest. It's a lot of material, but that flag is hoped to be as prevalent as was the first push when those prisoners did not come back from Vietnam. And some like-minded people got together with that black flag and that white silhouette and said, we want this to fly over the Capitol, and they said, you're crazy, right? Fast forward the clock, it then was only flown on 7 holidays. Fast forward the clock again, it was 11 holidays. Fast forward the clock, 2017, National Defense Authorization Act says every time you fly that American flag on any government building, you will fly the POW MIA flag. So they're hoping to say that this is a national epidemic, this suicide, as you said, the numbers are staggering, that this should take flight. This should be an easy lift, and they hope to follow the same course, a roadmap that those people laid out back in 1980 to make that and have that come to fruition. And I can say Hingham's one of about a dozen communities that flies that flag on the East Coast. It's starting out small. It started out in Long Island, New York, and it's slowly spreading, and it should be in Congress. I actually handed a press packet to our delegate from the Mass 8th. So I'm hoping that he'll take that back, at least even during the lame duck session now, and speak of it, because it affected someone here. It affected someone in our community, and we're not, we're not immune to it. No one's immune to it. It seeks no boundary, economical status, or religion, creed, or color, so.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you very much.
Let's go.
All right, next item on the agenda are appointments. I believe we have one appointment this evening. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to appoint Joshua Ross to the Council on Aging to fill an unexpired term ending June 30th, 2024.
Second.
All those in favor by roll call. Liz?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. The motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is public comments. Would anybody from the public like to make any comment to the board this evening? Seeing none, move on to Town Administrator Select Board reports. To start with Michelle.
Nothing this evening, thank you.
All right, I see Art on Zoom, but don't see him unmiked, so let me go to Tom.
Sure. So I just wanted to report out that the DPW today heard that we received a $15,600 grant from the Recycling Dividends Program of the Mass DEP to help us with our recycling efforts in town. So some good news.
Excellent. Joe?
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Liz?
Thanks, Bill. I just wanted to share that the town of Hingham is making an information session and resources available to residents seeking mental health-related assistance. And there will be an information and assistance session tomorrow night, Wednesday, November 16th at 7 p.m. here at Town Hall. You can go through the Senior Center entrance. And it will be Aspire Health Alliance holding a special in-person meeting for adult residents, so aged 18 and above, seeking information and assistance. Aspire staff will present on the immediate impacts of sudden loss on individuals, families, and their children. Their clinicians will be here to provide answer questions and provide connections to resources. So anyone in the community that is looking for those resources or needs information to help a family member or friend, we hope that you'll join us tomorrow night. Thank you.
Liz, thanks very much. And I have nothing to report tonight, so with that, I would take a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor by roll call. Joe?
Aye.
Liz?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. We are adjourned. Have a good evening, everybody.